Welcome everybody to the Blueprint. We have a very special episode for you today. I'm here with Salil and we have a special guest Arts with us today. So in today's episode, we want to break down founder reward. We want to break down, cap table management, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what we think based off the last couple months on Bitclout. Um, but first, we want to get started with a very important topic that has been going on the platform, which is founder reward games. So I'm curious to hear from both of you guys. What do you think of the Founder Award games? How they've evolved and where we are with that right now on the platform.
It's interesting, right? So founder reward games, I would say that's one way of increasing your coin price, right? So there are two ways to do it as far as I see. One is coming up with a little bit of a value proposition on what do you offer, and then people pay a price to have access to that through founder reward. And then the other piece is promising lower founder reward, getting high coin price, attracting a certain type of traders. At least I think historically, right now, what we've seen, the coin price increases haven't stayed. People have had to do it, and then this being a zero sum game somewhere, that the coins or the log value just gets redistributed. So I'm not a big fan. Just to be very direct, I'm not a big fan. I've had my founder reward very consistent at 20% most of the time. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Maz, I owe you an apology because we were on a Clubhouse and I got, I'll say suckered into selling my holdings in your coin. And I didn't understand it well and I regret it now. But I think the idea was that I would sell all my holdings in your coin and you would adjust your founder reward. And then that would, create a lot of chaos and confusion and volatility, and people would be perhaps incentivized to jump in based on some promise that you would buy back in. So founder reward games are two things. It's throttling the founder reward up and down, and then also the selling of one's own coin or of a large major holder's coin to manipulate the price.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with manipulating founder reward to, put your shields up, put your shields down, discriminate based on, some sort of incentive you want to offer. It's the combination with the sort of the controlled pump and dump, which bothers me. And I
Yeah.
think, it relies on trust. I've said before, and I'm not a fan of things in the system that rely on trust. It's trustless for a reason. It's decentralized. So anytime someone's, asking for your confidence, that's something to be, we call those people confidence men for a reason. So
Yeah.
I think it's something to be careful with. It creates a signal of, chaos and confusion, which is not really, um, it's not really consistent with the idea of building brick by brick, slow long term value. Which is, yeah, it's great that Bitclout the price has gone up and all this activity surge, but we have a long road ahead of us. So, do we want to really invite scrutiny from regulators about these games that are going on where people lose money? People lose money,
Mm.
and then the second order effects of when people then maybe take it a little too far and they concentrate all their holdings at the expense of creating these ripple effects and other people selling off other people's coins. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's dangerous for the platform. I've got a lot to say about it, but I'll pause there.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on the fact that, I was able to experience those games firsthand. And, my experience from those games when I was doing it, I didn't want to change my founder reward because, again, there was a lot of dopamine, adrenaline. Definitely I felt a rush, but I didn't want people to lose money. So I know if I
Yeah.
kept changing my founder reward, someone was going to buy in. If my price doesn't hit that price, if people sell off before, someone's going to buy my coin and lose money, and they're going to remember that. And that's not what I want to be known for. I want to be known for building content on the platform like we're
Yeah.
doing today. So it kind of threw me off. I didn't like it, but I definitely learned from the experience. But I can see how it can be both engaging, fun, addicting, but also dangerous. So interesting stuff.
So, Arts, in
Yeah.
that case, did you end up losing money?
I it's sort of like I let a bunch of people cut me in line because I was in early into Maz, and then I
Yeah.
left, and then I came back in, and the price of the coin is such that I know actually you're right. I did lose. I think I went down from 16 to 12 Maz coins, at the
Yeah.
benefit of other people who were able to get in earlier. And um, I think if a founder asks you to sell out, that's one thing, but selling out to play this manipulation is a bit dangerous. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we say? So someone new to the platform, they come on this week. Um, do we have any advice for them as far as founder reward games? What should they do? And this will kind of lead us on to our cap table management, which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I'd say this is like three card monte in a back alley of a bad neighborhood. Just be careful when this. There's not a lot, there's no police on the platform. Just be careful who you're associating with and what you're playing, and know what you're getting into. There are some people who want to gamble. I don't want to use that word gamble, but they want to play these games and they want to participate, and maybe there's they're willing to the rush for them is a positive one. I don't condone it. I don't endorse it. I don't think it's great for the platform. But
Yeah.
the other thing I'll say is that a lot of new users might not be mindful of the fact that everything's on chain. You
Yes.
Mm.
can't take this back. I can't take back the fact that I sold your coin and bought it back a few days later, and that's gonna affect my if someone comes up with some algo score of what arts or my holding time. Now my holding time score is impacted,
Sure.
volatility of my actions is impacted. So all those things that will become transparent and daylight will shine on them. New users should try to be careful that every day on BitClout is the Wall Street Journal test where everything you're doing is literally on the front page of the news. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say just be
that's great
mindful of that.
advice. Absolutely. So yeah, so moving to the topic today. So how do we, attract coin holders and retain coin holders? Silo, you want to break it down for us as far as the topics that we'll cover right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of focus on BitCloud on how to attract coin holders, right? And founder reward is one example. People lower the founder reward. There are different models people will talk about. There are projects which require you to hold certain coins or certain holdings to benefit from the project. So there's a ton of focus on that. That's one part, and that's important. The other part that we want to cover in this call or on this video also is retaining coin holders. So it's all good and dandy if you get a bunch of people on your cap table, but how do you consistently provide value to those coin holders so they stay on your cap table? And basically, it creates a floor on your cap table, so you can spend more time, building a product, building other parts of your business than constantly being in this attraction mode. So those are the two big pieces I think we would love to cover on this video.
Perfect. So let's get started. Let's look at our first example then. If we look at, a value proposition with founder reward, let's look at Flick app, for example, right? So do you want to break down the analytics, Salil, so we can kind of talk about them?
Absolutely. So the value proposition piece here is giving a reason for potential coin holders to come and buy your coins. Okay. And so far I see there are two worlds. One world is access to certain kind of goods or services by coin holding. And then the second piece is, almost speculative, where you believe that the coin price right now is less, and in the future the coin price will go up. And those are the two parts I see people coming and buying coins and holding coins. Uh, one area that we want to focus is the value proposition, right? A very clear messaging on what does this account have to offer, right? And that's where, if you look at the screenshot on the left, this is Flick app. They have, a pretty significant coin price. They've done well over the last few weeks or months consistently on the platform. And it's very clear. They provide, what the app is about, who the people are involved in that app. They have a few links. The whole piece there is not enough to probably give all the information. So having links is an idea if you want to have people, learn more about you. So that's the value proposition. And on the right side is the founder reward. But before we get into that, would love for, Artz, your thoughts on, how should people think of value proposition? How can they actually deliver this message that they're creating value and people should buy their coins?
Yeah, so Lily, you make a great point about like getting back to business and building versus raising. And in the traditional startups world, there's very discrete moments when you go heads down to raise capital from investors, and then you go back to building your business for a year and a half or two. And BitClout sort of turns that on this head because you're in the public markets now and you always have access to capital. But I think some of the lessons still apply from the traditional startups world where you have a concrete pitch, a vision, a timeline, milestones that you hope to achieve. To your point on links in the profile, I haven't seen it yet, but I would love to see people have a very short pitch deck
Hmm.
a link to a PDF that's 5 slides or 3 slides. It says, hey, this is what this account stands for. This is the long-term roadmap. This is the next milestone. And then have some sense about how they, even if early ideas about some value accruing back, whether that's through NFT sales or some online to offline bridge.
Yeah.
Exactly. And for me, I feel like that's somewhere where I am right now as a creator on the platform, where I want to focus on building content. I want to focus on eventually monetizing. I don't want to focus too much on my coin price. So how can we bring some stability to to my coin price at least, to allow me to focus on those things for the long term of the platform? So do you guys have any thoughts on that, as far as how can a creator, or if you're someone on the platform, just get some stability on your coin?
Yeah, I think to the point on like setting a vision and extending the horizon, because we're all in this day to day.
Yeah.
If
Hmm.
you have the idea that like, hey, this is where I'm going, this is where I'm headed, this is where an eventual use case of my coin might be. For example, I was talking to Julia, Joolia,
Oh
on
yes.
Clubhouse this early last week, and she made a comment that there's going to be a Bitclout festival in Europe, and I hadn't heard
Hmm.
about that yet, and
Hmm.
that sounds awesome. I want to go to that. And if she's organizing it, I'm not sure if she is, and I need to hold Julia coin to be able to gain admission, then that's a clear, easy way for me to just however much buy a couple $100, knowing that I'm going to be going to that festival. So the idea is just if you have an anchor point further out in the future where some value will accrue, I think that will help people have a little bit of patience.
And
Exactly.
that's a good point. Here's a question for you. So let's say you have to hold Julia coin to have access to that festival. What should be the founder reward then? Right? Because if it's only access, she should be able to put a founder reward at 50%, 60%, right? What's a little unclear to me is when people say hold the coin to have access to a certain product or service, and then their founder reward is just 10% or 20%. Because to me that says, one, you're promising two things at that point. One, you're promising the good or service that that's it, that you trade. And then the second thing you're promising is a future increase in the coin price also, potentially, because 90% of your holding is still yours, right? Like, you own a coin for that, which you can sell and bring that money back in. So how do you see founder reward? How should people think about founder reward when it's in relation with goods and service?
Yeah, I think there's like, yeah, so then the two opposites, like I'd call one of them as a ticket, do a ticketed
Hmm.
event, and one of them's like your traditional asset, like a something that appreciates. And in the middle, there's this weird thing, which is like it's an asset that comes with these properties that let you gain admission. It's sort of like analogies. You get to go to the stockholder meeting if you own a share of IBM or Disney, but instead,
Hmm.
imagine if you own a share of Disney, you get to go to Disney for free. And it's weird because Disney, doesn't really monetize on that share, but there's so maybe in that case, the founder reward is but then in a way with the share, you're actually you're buying equity capital of Disney so that they can then
Yep.
go improve their parks, and so it's not revenue. I think the creators got to generate revenue elsewhere. This is not
Yeah.
a. I think this is more of like a, has some analogy to capital markets.
Yeah. And I think one reason people have such a hard time trying to figure out what the founder reward is, because they're just too focused on trying to get the money in, right? Like, they're constantly trying to see, would 20% bring more investments? Would 10% bring more investment? Would 25, right? Would you suggest that, they look at other parts of the business to try to generate investment? Like, how can they, look at other pieces rather than just founder reward as one number?
Yeah, founder reward's the easiest thing, so I think it gets a lot of
Mhm.
attention. Just the lever you can pull quickly.
Hmm.
But for compelling value props, for compelling products, services, offerings, I think you'll see people. I mean, going back to the point in founder reward games, we see people willing to pay 50, 70% founder reward in promise for some, very short term monetary value. So I think I wonder if there's probably some correlation between a high founder reward and a short term gain. I
Hmm.
think I think there was a hyped tickets. I think I might have paid a very high found reward to get a ticket to that event, um, which is effectively just buying a ticket. That's fine. I think in other cases, like where you're a long term holder, some of these like BitHunt, which we'll talk about, I think theirs is very low, and so or Moonbounce, these projects that are kind of going to go out into the future. So I think if you're selling something that's if you're offering something as a creator that's more of a long term thing, it makes more sense to have a lower founder reward because people can they're not willing to part with with a fraction of that right away.
Exactly. And that's a great point. So yeah, let's look at Big Hunt really quick, for example, because I know you mentioned right before this, Arts, you talked about how, you're all for creators, you're all for things on the platform, but developers, that's important for the success of Bitclout, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little more about that. How do you see the developers coming on the platform, as far as founder reward, monetizing, cap tables, and just, being the base of the growth of the platform?
Well, founder rewards a feature on BitClout that was built by a dev, and people that are you know I think the community finds new ways to play with these features, but we need more features built that makes the platform more robust, gives more functionality. I think there were a lot of complaints with celebs early on around seed phrase management, security, creator coin wallet. How do you manage your holdings? The CRM function. How do you communicate with all your holders through the messaging functionality? All that stuff is being addressed in one way or shape or form by third party devs.
Yeah.
So that's the lifeblood of that's the structure, the foundation that the playground that we're all kind of playing in, and as we want to build this world, like we can. A lot of us are um, we're participants, but I think the creators of the platform are equally, if not more important at this early stage.
Absolutely. Well, looking at BitHunt and their value proposition, right, and their founder reward. So their founder reward has been 10%. They've had pretty good growth, money flowing in. So, they're not changing their founder reward consistently. So are people buying their coin for, long-term hold? Or yeah, how do we separate that from what's going on now as far as, that short-term gain type of thing?
Yeah, I think if you know the founder reward is going to be stable, and you know that there's a creator, in this case a developer, that's building something for the long term, and you know, and they have a community, in this case the links in the Discord, um, and there's attribution around who's building it. I think it helps you if you buy that coin. It's pretty clear there's not a lot of short term speculation unless you get in very early.
Yeah.
There's also some positive brand value for being associated with these projects. Me personally, I want to associate with these infrastructure projects. I want to associate with Prosper Cloud and Salil and Moz. The content, these are the things that I think make the platform grow. Other people may want to associate with their favorite celebrities, and so it's not necessarily a monetary thing. I think
Yeah.
I think there is, on the one hand, like this idea of like making a quick buck, and so you have to ask yourself as a creator, do you want to attract those people as your investors, or do you want people that are willing to stick around and hang around, and you're not going to lose sleep overnight knowing that they're just they're going to call you up one day and say, hey, your coin's not going anywhere, let's be honest. I'm going to sell your coin.
Exactly. And it's funny, me and Celia were talking about this past weekend as far as barrier to entry for your coin, and as far as, like you said, increasing the founder reward, having a higher founder reward. For example, let's say your enemy doesn't like you, he buys most of your coin and just holds it, scares off new investors. Is there a way for us, or what do we think about that as far as how, as we scale forward, things can be, uh, cap table management can become a thing where it does affect your potential growth?
Yeah, Salil, what do you think thoughts on that?
It's a tough
Yeah.
one, right? I don't have a good answer, right? Right now, it's open for everyone to come and buy coins. So I think that's one of the tough challenges. And today, I think there was so much going on in the last 24 hours. I had some conversations last week where I was somewhat concerned that I might attract some investors because my coin price took a dip today. So I actually just put my founder reward at 100%. And that's the piece that you just said around putting up your shields. So, but I don't think it's a good answer, right? Because I have a lot of $4, $5, $1, $2 buys which I didn't see coming today at all, right? My HHI is pretty low because I have lots of people buying small amounts, and I said DM me if you want to buy, but that's just too much effort. So I don't think it's a solution right now. But I still feel we are like in a very early inning. There'll be ways we can figure out, who we want to whitelist as someone who comes and buys. But as of right now, I don't have a good answer on that.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll be honest. I was doing a challenge where I was giving out $1,000 to 100
Mm,
creators right now, and I pulled some data and I looked at the top 10 sort of winners of this, and a couple of them had investors on their cap table with pretty large holdings, and I know those investors to be quite volatile, and so I just thought to myself, I'd love to support this person, but I'm going to lose half my investment probably in the next 2 or 3 days as soon as that person sells out. So
yeah,
I moved on. So I think it's unfortunate that people can't whitelist and blacklist certain investors, and
Mhm.
without this added friction you're talking about. But I think I think we're still at a positive sum community, and people for the most part are responsive and cordial. So
yeah,
I think asking that person to sell. Um, I think that there was an incident where one of my colleagues from work joined, didn't know about Founder Award, so set it down to 2 or 3%. Then I transferred some Bitclout in, and a bunch of people saw that and rushed in before she could buy her own coin. So in Discord, I said, "Hey, please sell out, everyone. Like, give her the decency to let her buy her own coin."
yeah,
Yeah,
And you know, I think 9 out of 10 people had no problem with it, and they exited. And
yeah.
I thought that was pretty nice. So there was
Mm,
one holder of half a coin who wouldn't move, but so be it.
yeah. And I
exactly.
think,
Yeah, and it can be tough, that's definitely something, especially when you have investors that just buy a lot and they don't communicate with you,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
They can
Yeah.
sell off any moment and just create a lot of instability. And I think we're learning as we're going along, but it's very interesting to see these situations take place.
yeah. And I think changing founder what constantly, like people are doing it, like the goal is, right? Like your actions are driven by the goals. The goal here is to maybe bring in investment and increase coin price, but it might actually hurt people also, right? If you see when was the last time the founder reward was changed, people might hold off saying, oh, you know what, it's 5% right now, maybe I'll wait for a 1% or 2%, right? People can wait if it's very volatile, right? And if you look at the BitHunt one here, they've been 10% since April 6th, right? They've had their founder reward, at different numbers, but that was early in the game. They probably were, testing a few things, talking to a few investors, and the numbers were different. But it's been very consistent, right? So some of it consistency provides a little bit of fairness as well, that you're not constantly changing founder reward based on the number that's coming in, or based on any other reason. So I think there's a little bit of a fairness play here as well, and just not almost holding off with future investments.
Yeah. And I think you make a good point with that because I know, for example, Salil, your founder reward tends to be 20%. So I know if I have your coin, I
Yeah,
may not sell because it's been 20% for months, right? As opposed to
yeah.
someone that's changing it every day, you can sell, buy, come back in anytime, and hopefully find a better deal, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a good point. And I'll briefly share an example. So last Friday, there was a big investment and we had a good chat about it. It's been 20% almost throughout. Before, it was 10% to begin with. And when I could change, I made it 20. Um, but I did actually change it to 10% on Friday for a large investment. I've worked with that person before. They've already been on the cap table and it was significant. So at that point, I felt the investment coming in fact increases everyone's holding and everyone's value in the cap table. So and it was a long-term investment, so I know them very well, and that made sense to me, right? But it was almost a little bit of a real life discussion we had before doing anything big or crazy on the founder reward. And the one learning I've had over the weeks rather, not years, over the weeks, and I applied it this time, was If you have a big investment coming in, people love to take screenshots and post it. It really doesn't help. No one is buying after a big investment. Mostly, you might actually let people might feel your current coin holders might feel their investment or their ROI goals have been met. So tactically, you run the risk of having a little bit of a sell-off after a big investment than actually attracting more investments. So something to play with, something to think about. I would never, I like maybe in the beginning I did, but now I almost never, post any investments coming in at all. It doesn't help at all in my case.
And Salil is interesting, Arts, because he sends his investors a weekly like email, right? And I've seen an example of it. I think that's such a cool thing to do, where he just recaps everything that's happened, on Prosper Cloud or on, the week on the videos that we're shooting. And I think that's really cool way to keep in contact. Which brings us to our next topic, which is retention of investors, right? What can we do to retain our investors? It's harder to acquisition's more expensive, takes more time than retaining investors. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I love the email from Salil. I think uh, closing the loop with your investors is important. I think
Mm,
if you don't have a clear value prop on the way in, then it's not really clear why people are jumping in, and it's not really clear how to deliver what on their expectations. So it comes back to kind of the brand promise that you offer as a creator. If you're a musician and you promise to release one new track a week and you post it, I think that's cool. And maybe you give early access. That's what people are there for, and it's pretty clear. And
Yeah.
who cares about the noise and the volatility of people that are up and down?
mm,
Or if you're an architect and I'm waiting for more service providers to jump on that. If I hold that coin, I get some weekly, monthly, widget or service from. Um, it's a lot of coins right now. I hold them more for relationship, but I the quid pro quo is that I want to chat with the people on Discord, on Telegram. So I think informal chats like that. Douglas is my biggest investor, and I'm his. We've met up in person. We have a
Mm.
pretty active dialogue going
Nice.
on, and we joke that we tell our wives we have to go meet with our top coin holders. So
Yeah, that's
Together,
cool.
Douglas, in your own investment is 75%. So it's crazy. If, if you guys decide to sell your own coin, yeah, your coin price will tank. So
It's a
HHI, I
I'll
haven't seen
I'll be
it, but
buying the dip.
your HHI I think is like 0.45, which is insane.
Just going back really quick, Arts. I remember you mentioned maybe a couple weeks ago something about theoretically maybe buying a property and either renting it out to coin holders or renting it out to people and sharing revenue with coin holders. Tell us a little more about that. Have you thought about that lately, or was that just a concept we were trying out, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like the idea of having value accrue to holders and having perks. I wasn't so two things that are blockers right now. One, I don't want to sell any Arts coin, so I would want to borrow against it, and there's no way to borrow against Arts coin.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would like to borrow USD against Arts coin. I'm pretty confident that if I have $2 million of Arts coin, I'd like to borrow 1 million. I don't
Mm,
think Bitclout price is going to tank in half. I own enough of my own coin to insulate the potential drop if people sell out.
Yeah.
But then and so and then if Bitclout does appreciate, then I take out a mortgage in USD, which is fine. I don't
mm.
want to sell Bitclout or Artscoin to fund a you know piece of land or piece of building that's going to grow at 2, 3, 4% a year.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, that sounded interesting to me. I was like, that's, yeah, just kind of logistics behind it. But that concept sounds amazing. And I think if we can get to that level as we scale up the platform, dude, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, a really cool one was I think Corbin was a Clout Reactor, the
Mm,
mining pool.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a very clear one where there's mining pool, you fund it, there's a high found reward. In theory, I guess that would go to fund the build out of mining equipment, which would then, but that became non-viable after the change. But that was a very native to BitCloud, very cool one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And those are great things to retain current investors. So let's look at an example really quick. We have Doodles here, right? Who has a great reinvesting percentage. So, Salio, can you tell us what the reinvesting percentage means for people
Yeah, so
watching?
reinvestment percentage is essentially a streak. So if there's a current coin holder and they buy back, they like what they're seeing. And we add that as a person who has reinvested. And then the percentage is simply, everyone who holds the coin compared to how many people bought back. But it has to be a clean streak. So let's say I hold mass coins. Uh, I sell a partial portion. Let's say I hold two coins. I sell one coin, and then a week later I come back and buy one more. It won't count as reinvestment percentage
Mhm.
because there was a sell in the middle. But if I hold this coin and I buy again right off the back, that will count. So a buy, sell, buy won't. A buy, sell, buy will. So the two buys need to be back to back for it to be counted as a reinvestment. And I personally
Nice.
think that's a very strong signal that people are liking what's going on, and not only are they retaining, the coin holder is retaining them, but they're actually giving them reasons to buy more of their coins.
Hmm. So yeah, looking at Doodles, and he has a 24% percentage there. So out of his 252 holders,
Yeah,
24% have bought again.
exactly. So yeah, you can see the number actually 61 people have bought his coin again. So there has been a clean no sell between a rebuy between 61 people.
Nice. All right. So you looking at this number, what do you think about it? Do you think it's something, obviously it's a good sign, but what can we take from that number as far as, he's getting reinvestments again on the platform?
Yeah, I think I remember seeing Doodles when the coin price was in the hundreds, and I think well, the first thing that jumps out is Doodles Academy, right?
Yes.
He he's very clear about what he's offering. He sent me his pitch deck for it, which is cool. Um, he went on Krasenstein's YouTube and kind of explained it, so he's been pretty vocal about what he's working on. Doodles Academy is Bitclout native. It's onboarding early emerging creators, helping them, sort of the YC of Bitclout, I think is what he's calling it. And
Mhm.
so you already know that, okay, there's this person's committed to the platform, and it's just very obvious that that there's real value that's going to accrue here. And it doesn't have to be speculative, but it just I think this is something that a lot of people want to support because in the same way you might hold Maybeam coin or Diamond Hands
Mm.
coin, like this is just another builder on the platform that seems to be really pro community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that again, looking at another example, the Reclout King himself, we have ASG, who has another high percentage, 25%, and he's also working on the platform Bits Today, which is huge on the platform. So it's interesting to see these percentages and what content these creators are bringing to the platform, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
go ahead. Sorry.
go Yeah, but with ASG, he's in your inbox with NVO and Drip Cult and others
Mm.
3 days a week. So that's going back to retention.
Yeah.
It's very clear. I think they've been toying around different schemes around hold X number of coins and you get sponsorships or advertising space. That's a cool value prop to hold, and I think they can do a lot with saying buy more coin to get more perks. I would love to buy more coin if that were the case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, just looking back at cap table retention and getting investors on BitClout, I think things have changed since day one. Obviously, it used to be a lot different of why people would invest in you, but I think we are finding clearer reasons to buy people's coins and to keep people's coins, right? Instead of just buying and just forgetting about it. So interesting to see this, shift on the platform. But yeah, moving forward, what are some things that you guys look for as far as retention, just to kind of close this segment off?
Arts after you this time.
Okay, for retention, I think activity is probably the most basic one. If you're not active, people are gonna churn. And I don't mean to say you have to be addicted,
Yeah.
but some regular cadence, whatever that is for you, that's predictable and consistent. Um, I think having some dialogue. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but off of BitClout in Telegram or Discord, or like what we're doing in the podcast now, maybe email, maybe in real life, probably matters right now
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we don't have great tools. So if you're not on those platforms, I'd say get on them and start at least just chatting, getting to know the people. Um, yeah, I would say the other thing I would say around retention. This is maybe an indicator of churn. I'm not a big fan when I'm an investor in a account that then starts giving away a lot of its coin.
Mm.
Let's say I put in me and others. The community has put if Doodles' coin price is now 2,000 and Doodles starts giving away hundreds of dollars of Doodle coin. That's something about that feels like, oh well, we invested to pump this coin up and now you're giving it away to others as currency
Mm.
to maybe incentivize people to do something, and maybe their incentives aren't aligned with ours, and so they'll dump the coin, and then that's comes at our expense as holders. So I don't like to see that happening. So I'd say in terms of churn, be mindful with once your coin price is appreciated to a certain point. I would say just be thoughtful and mindful about not doing things that are brand dilutive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before I answer, actually, I have a question, Arts. Do you see your persona on Bitclout more as a coin holder investor or more as a creator? Almost everyone wears two hats, but I think there's a prominent archetype everyone has. Where do you see yours?
Yeah, I think started out as more of the investor. Um, I think maybe like the investor creator. We were talking. I was talking about automatic from BitClout Pulse, and we're talking about the idea that we might have modern day like equity analysts, the equivalent,
Hmm.
that can sort of be. I guess the role of a VC, you're sort of a supporter, you're a backer. I like that sort of an analog here, where you're a supporter and backer, but a lot of VCs are Twitter philosophers and blog posts, and they're trying to educate. And so I think there's some investor educators maybe where I aspire to take things.
Hmm. And if, let's say, Doodles, you hold Doodles coins, right, around the whole retention, cap table management, would you expect him to ask you, talk to you, run at least this by you, that this is how I'm thinking of using part of the coins that he holds and giving it out, or using it for a certain purpose, right? Like, how would that communication flow, right? Like, would you expect it over an email, a message, a conversation? What would make you comfortable so other creators can actually take a leaf from this?
I think if I or any investor jumps in unsolicited, unwelcome, or not unwelcome, but unsolicited, just it's decentralized. You can buy anyone's coin.
Mm.
Then I don't think we're owed anything other than just what all cap table holders would be owed, which is just frequent communication, and it
Mm.
could be a mass message in the inbox. It's just nice to get those, and I don't have time to read them all, but it's just nice to see, hey, you're being thoughtful about the account and how you manage your constituents, and the little things are how we do, like how we do the little things or how we do the big things. So I think yeah, I like to see that discipline, and it's a bonus if someone wants some feedback or advice and wants to reach
Mm.
out on Telegram or Discord. I think in that case, if you're soliciting investment, and I would if you're asking someone to come into your creator coin for a specific reason, then I think there's probably more of a relationship that you want to build out. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, just for passersby, some frequent cadence of interaction is good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in my case, honestly, the retention has been more helpful than even attracting. Like, I've never, gone out very clearly with a plan how to, get funding or investments in my coin. But initially, it was literally a luck of draw that I joined early April. A bunch of people came in, and I just connected with them. I spoke to them quite a bit, and the way the system is set up, the way the whole BitClout works, it almost works in your favor to do a good job with cap table management, because if your current coin holder likes what's happening, they're more likely to actually invite their friends and join, because once their friends actually join the cap table, their holdings actually go up as well. So your cap table or your coin holders are almost promoting you. They want reasons to promote you, right? So it's not too hard to give them reasons. Just give them reasons, right? Do a good enough job. And that's been a good source of a lot of coin buys in my case, right? I've just connected with people I spend probably 60-70% of my time with people who are already on the cap table. Like I'll almost have like 3 or 4 calls a week, just hearing them out and like on the product and on business models, right? So, and I think that's been very helpful. Like they have brought their friends along.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about people that want you to see you succeed and they're incentive aligned. It's
Yeah.
different than your friends. Like they're your collaborators now.
Exactly. Yeah, well, it's really cool to talk about, market cap and building the right table, retention, getting investors. And again, 3 months in, 100, well, first of all, congrats, Arts, on your 100 days on the platform, by the way.
Yeah.
Saw that was, when was that?
Thank
That
you,
was like,
thank you.
was that yesterday or 2 days ago?
That was a couple of days ago, 2 days ago. Yeah.
Love it. That's
Sunday.
awesome to see. So again, 100 days in, the platform is consistently changing and just adapting to these things is really cool to see. And yeah, thank you for coming on the show today and just talking to us about market cap retention. And as always, it's a pleasure having you. Salil, thank you as well. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and hit a thumbs up, subscribe if you like this, and just recloud it if it helps us out as we begin to grow. And yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.